Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankin. It's going to be a fun one today. We're talking about, well, not so much fun one, but you know what I mean. But we're talking about top 12 Final Destination deaths, and this is excluding the premonition deaths where they never really happened in the first place. We're talking about the actual deaths in the movies. But I've got a great panel here. We've got Eric. Eric, how's it going?
It's doing good. I disagree with the sentiment. This is a fun one. I understand it's a creepy situation, but the Final Destination franchise, even if it doesn't ever reach the heights of like other major franchises, is pretty consistent. And the main thing we go for is the death scenes, including the premonitions. But and to be fair, like each premonition is probably like the top 10 kills, so it makes sense to keep them out because like I could name like 5 individual kills in Final Destination 2 in the premonition with the logs. So I agree with the limits. The rest of the kills are pretty fun too. So let's talk about it.
Also, you've got Richie. Richie, how's it going?
Yeah, no, going good. Yeah, looking forward to talking about this. Yeah, I think this has been on the voting. It's been on the poll for a bit before and it missed out. So I'm glad we're talking about it now. I may have given away one of my picks in my nickname. You will, but yeah, this is fun talk about. I love the Final Destination series, and hope there's been talk of reboot for a while, so hopefully they get this movement on that eventually. So yeah.
And last but not least, we've got Chad. Chad, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great. I love the Final Destination series. I don't love the Final Destination. That's the weakest one, but the rest are great. The rest have, maybe not the best characters and characters, but the situations are, like Eric was saying, very, very fun. So I also think this is going to be a very fun match because we're talking about some fun kills and fun setups, and I think that's what makes the best kills. So I'm interested to see what you guys think are the best ones, and I hope we can all agree on a great 12 here.
And we would have had a fourth one, but they were caught in the hurricane zone. Hopefully, Pez is doing all right, and everyone is safer in those areas. How Rankin works is we're going to go around and nominate a death scene that we think belongs on a top 12 list, and then everyone else say yes or no to it. Because it is an even number panel, it's going to come down to the other three on the panel, like whether it makes it or not. So it always makes it really interesting. But Eric, what is the first one you're going to bring up?
I like to start with a punt, like something unexpected, and I always go back to the most, to me personally, the most underrated entry in the franchise, which to me is Final Destination 5. It's a pretty solid movie. And my favorite kill out of that movie is the death of Candace. It's Peter's girlfriend who does gymnastics. I think it's high school gymnastics. I don't know. Like, it's a pretty creepy scene. It's one of those that throws. It's a bit of a throwback to the first movie. It's more suspenseful. Every little thing, like the little nail and the dust and the little bits of water. Like gymnastics always been a very scary sport practice to me. Like I could never do it. And so the way that this character dies, like it's just so brutal. Like she doesn't actually deserve it. She's a nice character. She's fine. Like she's a decent person, and the way she goes, kind of distracted by the dust and does many flips and falls. The way the fall is actually made, like it's a little bit of practical, a little bit of CGI. Like it's just a splatter that's just it stays with you. It's like it was such a shame, such a good that scene, fun, creepy at the same time. That's my first nomination.
Richie, what do you say about Candace's death from Final Destination 5?
Yeah, the only thing I'll disagree with is that Final Destination 5 is underrated. I think it's pretty I think it's pretty highly regarded. I think it's a great. I think I think it's one of my favorite films. Like I go back and forth. I think it's one of the better ones in the franchise, to be honest. But yeah, like as far as the death goes, yes, I think it's just one of the more memorable deaths in that movie. Yeah, there was another one I might remember later for something right up, but yeah, this one is definitely one of the best. But yeah, it did to the point where I'm watching the Paris Olympics and I can't help but you can't help but think about that and seeing when you're watching them doing that routine. Like, oh God, yeah, I know that's far fetched that type of thing, but God, I don't want to see any like broken bones or something. But yeah, but this was really gnarly. Yeah, great death has sort of set the tone of the actual movie. And so yes, it's a definite yes for me.
Chad, what about?
Yeah, just to touch quickly on the underrated piece, I think like the entire franchise except for 4 is actually pretty underrated. But I also understand where Richie's coming from, where this one is pretty well regarded. It actually has a fresh Rotten Tomato score, so I do think this one may be the best in the franchise. But there's a couple that are up there. But yeah, Eric nailed it. This is my favorite kill. I was definitely going to put nominate this one first. And so I'm glad that he got to it first with the very first nomination, because I think this one is one of the scariest things. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the It Follows kill on the beach a little bit, but this one you actually see happen. And it's just as like gruesome with the body horror that shows you. I guess this is accurate. Like, this is what could happen if like that were to happen. You would land just right for this to happen. That it's just so crazy that you're waiting to see what's going to happen, and then anything that you can imagine in your head isn't as gruesome as this ends up being. And I think that's just a ode to this franchise and how they're able to do things practically and really like nail the like seamless transitions and editing and just really make these things really pop. And I just love the setup of one girl on a balance beam. There's a little tack on there. You're like, what? Candace goes over it. You're like wondering if she's gonna step on it. What's gonna happen with that? And then the sequence with the knocking something over in the dust and then her being so distracted that she lands all weird. It just happens so sudden that it's just easily just one of the scariest things in the whole franchise. So yeah, this is a definite yes for me, and this is going to rank very highly.
Yeah, this is. I mean, while the circumstance leading up to the death is very unrealistic, the actual death itself is realistic. This is something that could happen. Like you can get injured with gymnastics. I think death in gymnastics is pretty rare, but they probably exaggerated that part a little bit. But this is just one of those ones that is great, and it's also really high up for me as well. Probably would have been the first one I brought up too. So I'm going to say yes. Candace's death is going to make the list, and we move on to Richie.
Yeah, okay. But no points for guessing what I'm going for. But yeah, one of my favorites in the franchise actually is Final Destination 3. I think it doesn't get talked enough. I think Final Destination 3 is really good. And I can't get past an opening, probably one of the first deaths in the movie is the tanning bed scene, where the two sort of stuck up, and they get trapped in this tanning bed, and then stuff happens to make that to adjust the temperature, and then they're shut in there and they get fried. And yeah, it's ridiculous as it is like scary, but yeah, and it's very memorable. And yeah, it sticks in your head. I think it's definitely up there. So I'm gonna tanning bed scene from Final Destination 3.
Chad, what do you say about Ashley and Ashton's death from Final Destination 3?
Yeah. This is definitely an all-timer. This one is really scary, but also very funny to watch because they're just everything that happens. Like they're making the dumbest decisions ever. they're breaking all the rules in this tanning place, bringing drinks in. One of them forgot their iPod, so they're trying to, mess with the CDs, and they really just like do everything to make sure that this death actually happens. And then the guy has to replace the door stopper with like some tanning cream or whatever, and that bottle runs out, so then the door closed, he can't get back in, he's distracted anyways. They're listening to their music, just trying to tan, and then all of a sudden everything goes wrong and they just burst into flames into this. And it's one of those things where they're not great people, they're not like great characters, but they're kind of, it's kind of sad to see anyone go out this way, but then seeing them like kind of orchestrate their own death in this way is like really like, well, you guys kind of deserve this, the way that you made all these wrong decisions. And then to see the jump cut from them frying into this to their coffins is really, really funny. And so that kind of it just makes it, and so this is a great pick, Richie. This was definitely going to be one that I was going to bring up pretty soon as well.
Yeah, and this is one of those ones that because when I watched it on the rewatch, I watched the Choose Your Fate version, which you can actually change things to change up death a little bit, and so I actually did one that that one of them actually managed to get out. They still ended up dying, because one of them actually, in the Change Your Fate, one of them actually managed to get out of the tanning bed, but ends up getting knocked out by a shelf that falls down, and they land up on the ground. But it's just a lot of fun. And if you haven't done the Choose Your Own Fate adventure, it's a lot of fun with Body Shade Freebs. If it comes up, there is actually one death you actually completely change, and they don't end up dying, depending on if you make the correct decision. I won't spoil that just yet. But yeah, actually, this is another one that was really high up for me. This is one that's always got me, especially that jump cut to the funeral where it just kind of goes straight to the coffins. So as a yes for me. Eric, what do you say about Ashley and Ashley's?
Doug has a very strong opinion about this death, I guess. So I was between my pick and Rich's pick about the first one I wanted to talk about. So I'm glad it was the next one brought up. Like I just love a match cut like that. It's just very funny to me. I love the Final Destination kills that especially make you afraid of a certain object or activity. And tanning beds, I never felt the need for a tanning bed, obviously. But I will never want to be in that situation because of this movie. This particular scene was a favorite among my middle school friends for many reasons, but it's a pretty gnarly kill, all things considered. Ashley, and I don't think they were as bad as they were, but that particular scene, they ramp up their nastiness, I guess. They talk a lot of shit about stupid stuff. So that's kind of one of the strengths of the Final Destination franchise. Like you get to see awful people die in a way, and many of them are going to show up later in the rank. But the tanning bed, it has to be in the top of the list for many of us, I guess. So it's a definite yes for me as well.
Chad, we go to you next. What is your first nomination?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about a couple different ones, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with one to try to represent all these films. I'm going to go with the worst movie, The Final Destination, and pick what I think is the best one because it's, I guess it's supposed to be funny, but it ends up being, if not, it's just unintentionally funny. But I think it is supposed to be funny. So it's Carter Daniels, who is the big racist guy, and he's going to Benjamin Buford Blue, Bubba. He's going to his house from Forrest Gump to he's the security guard in the movie to do some racist shit. He's gonna burn a cross in his yard just because he's mad at him from the thing. So of course he's got to make it into a race thing and all this stuff. And to see him get his comeuppance, I think is pretty incredible. Because the car just starts going on its own. He's got like a tow truck. And so he rushes back, and the car keeps going. He can't catch up to it, and then the car has the chain coming off of it, and he gets like caught in the chain, so he starts getting dragged by his own truck, and then the whole thing, like, you know, the chain catches fire and lights him on fire, and so he's screaming, and then all of this is set to "Why Can't We Be Friends," which is just a really funny like needle drop to play with a guy who's doing like a bunch of racist stuff to a guy, and then, you know, saying "Why can't we be friends?" And then the truck explodes and he, you know, dies from all of that. So and I wanted to represent this movie, and I was like, what would I even bring up? And then I was like, that's the best one because it's funny, and it, you know, a character gets his comeuppance, and that's always good to see. And it's like a really fun needle drop too. And then, you know, Bubba comes out of the house. Mike Healthy Williams, he comes out of the house, and he's just like, what the hell? it's just really funny death. So I'll do that one.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those ones like, and I think all these deaths are really entertaining in different ways. Like, this is actually my least favorite death from the Final Destination. I've actually got a different one I've got higher, and so because of that, just because this one ended up really low on my list once I started actually ranking these, I'm going to say no, but I don't have any problem with making the list either. But Eric, what do you say about Carter from the Final Destination?
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny that his name is Carter because there was already a Carter in the franchise. I just find that funny. I think that the racist guy is a good actor, but actually, I was between this one and probably the one Malcolm's thinking about, the other good kill in Final Destination 4, which only has 2 good kills. To me, this is one of them. Like, I think it's a funny scene. I think it's a very deserved first proper death after the NASCAR-ish accident. And I think it's going to be on the bottom of the list for me, but it's a worthy bottom, 11 or 12 for me. But I like the other scene better, but it's going to come up a bit later. No, it's a yes.
So Richard, it comes down to you. What do you say about Carter's death from the Final Destination?
It was tough because, yeah, when you mentioned the Final Destination, I thought you were going to bring that. I thought you were going to bring out the other one that we'll bring out later, because that I think is better. But I do think that one's funny, and it's sort of in the spirit of these movies, and it's one of the only bright spots. So, you know what, I'm going to be like Eric here, where, you know, once we get to ranking, it might be a bit lower, but I will say yes.
The Carter's death from the Final Destination is going to make the list. Yeah. But with that, for my first one, I thought I'm going to go for one that is arguably a bit of a cheat because of what I said earlier. Because I did say we're not doing the prediction scenes, but in Final Destination 5, you had got Sam and Molly dying in the opening death scene from the Final Destinations. So this is a bit of a cheat. So I don't mind if people say no to this, but this is one of those where it is actually them dying. It's not a premonition or anything either. But just seeing the whole like Final Destination 5, I think was really good and sort of hiding the fact it was set before that original plane explosion anyway, and then just sort of seeing like Sam Molly get onto that plane and not get off, and with them actually dying in it, I think is a good way to sort of bring everything back full circle. And yes, I'm going to try for this, see what happens. But Eric, what do you say about Sam and Molly's death in Final Destination 5?
Yeah, you son of a bitch, breaking your own rules. No, I did thought of that after I remembered that's what happened at the end. Like, I like how subtle the movie is about being a prequel. Like, it's like on the background of some scenes, like the year, or especially when PJ Burns' character is checking the ticket for the massage. It says it expires in 2001. So that's pretty cool. The second time watch, like, okay, and I think pretty much a similar issue with the Final Destination kill we just picked. The airplane scene in this movie would be the perfect number 12 for the rank, so I'll put it on the list. Like I have around 10 or 9 kills that I definitely should be here, and then 2 spots that I could be any other kill, and this is one of them. So I'll give you a guess, Malcolm.
But Richie, what do you say about Sam and Molly's death from PlayStation 5?
I mean, I liked the twist, but I don't know the death. It was alright. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a few more that probably could make the list beyond that one. So not going to be as nice this time. I'm going to say no. I'm going to leave up to Chad.
Chad, what do you say about Sam and Molly's death from Final Destination 5?
I'm split on this one. Because I mean, it is a great scene. It's a great reveal. It's like one of the best like moments I think in the franchise, just because it's like, holy shit, what? When you finally find that out, and then like having other people find it out too is like really cool. And talking about it and being like, they tried this. It's a prequel. What? That's crazy. And I do think that it's really cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think if like the actual like death scene that ties into the premonition from the first one, but it is the actual kill, but it's not an individual kill. There's like 2 people in there. So we already got 3 on there. I got a lot on here. Yeah, let me give it a slight no, just because I have so many others on there.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, it's why if it was the first one I brought up, I was like, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I want to see how this goes. But Eric, we go back to you. What is your next nomination?
Oh yeah, you seriously underrated the kill, guys. Like this particular one, I'm just checking the scene again. Like it has the main character from 5 getting burned up, and then his girlfriend like being split in half by the wing of the plane. It's a shame it didn't make it. Now that I think about it, I would have given a slightly more optimistic yes. But anyway, I'll keep rounding up the movies because there's still 2 movies not on the list yet. And I'll go for my favorite kill out of the first one. It's Sean William Scott's character in the Bill Hitchcock being cut 3/4 of a head by the sheet of metal, steel. Like it's a pretty funny scene. Like it's pretty funny that Sean William Scott is in this movie. Like I'm guessing it was shot around the time American Pie was coming up or just before, so it's a very different character you would expect from him. But not very different, but like it plays to his strengths, but it's not. You will expect him to be more prominent, and he's just like the guy who says, "Carter, you dick." And then the way he gets killed is very surprising. There's another very surprising scene in this movie. I think between this one and the other kill I'm talking about, those are the best ones out of the movie, and the effect is very, very good as well. It's one of those very fun, bit unexpected, like a good kill. I think it should be on the list. It's a couple of the first movie should be on the list, including this one.
Richie, what do you say about Billy's death from Final Destination?
Yeah, I think it sort of follows this sort of started the trend of like I think the arsehole character has like the kind of more memorable death, and yeah, I do. When I think of the first one, beyond being really just a really good movie, but yeah, what is that the shocking death of Sean William Scott, and then just him being basically just mutilated by the sheet of the metal sheet of metal. So yeah, and I think we need at least one. A representation for every film. So, and I think this is the best kill in that movie. So, yes.
Chad, what do you say about Billy's death from Final Destination?
Yeah, I actually have a few from the original Final Destination. But yeah, this is one I put on my list because I really like Billy Hitchcock in the movie. I think he's really funny. Like he's the one that kind of what idolizes Alex because he's like the guy that sees things, and so he's just always like and then when he's about to die, he's like, man, I should have kissed that one girl or whatever. It was a really funny character, and you feel bad for him because he's always been picked on by Carter. So all of that plays into this scene because, this is where you think Carter's supposed to die, or he is actually supposed to die. And then, he's like, I'm going to brace it. I'm going to park my car on there. But he's not serious about it. Like he actually wants to live. And then, but he's panicking. And then Alex saves him. And then, all of this tension is just driving up, super high after the train crashes into the car and, the debris is under it. And then you're just having Billy just lose his mind or freak out. And he's like, he thinks he's next, I think. And then the train kicks up the thing and just slices his head. And it's just one of those moments where you're just kind of in shock right after it happens. And you're like, whoa, okay. And it just like half decapitates him. It's just really, really, really cool. And also really sad because I like that character so much. And I would have liked him to, maybe move on and kind of be like a Randy type of character, like from Scream, and just kind of like go on to a couple more movies. But it's a really cool kill. So yeah, I'll say yes to this one for sure.
Yeah, this one isn't my favorite death from Final Destination. Like, there's actually a few, at least a couple more that I'd like a little bit more than this. This is one of those ones and this is similar to another one that I think will probably come up later from a different movie where like the character's like no one's killing me, you're next. Like I'm not gonna die. And then they instantly just die. Like they're revealed they're next. It's like it also starts off a trend where like throughout the whole franchise, like you can tell they really like either decapitating their people, exploding people. It's just a lot of them. A lot of those kind of tropes kind of repeats itself over time. But this is one I'm going to give a slight yes to. So yeah, if that Billy's death from Final Destination is going to make the list, then we go back round to Richie.
All right. Well, I think we need something from Final Destination 2, and I'm gonna do right at the end the barbecue, the blowing up at the barbecue, because that was very funny and unexpected. There's just this blows up, and then there's all this. All the body parts go everywhere. It is a very funny way just to end the movie. And I feel like it's just I think Final Destination has a few really good deaths, and it's one of the best movies in the franchise. But yeah, I think that one was just the most unexpected, and I think it should be on the list.
But Chad, what do you say about and the character is Brian, I believe, that died.
Yeah, Brian Gibbons. Yeah.
Yeah. But what do you think?
Yeah.
Brian Destination 2.
Yeah, Final Destination 2 actually has a lot of great kills. Like this is a really, really good one. I love Final Destination 2. And this one is unexpected because you think it's all over. And I mean, of course, I guess it's not because of a certain death from the first movie at the end. But here, they're having a happy family cookout. And then they're just kind of like talking while, the one kid's just grilling in the background. And they're just like all just like chatting about, glad we're all safe and, whatever they're talking about. And at one point they're just like, yeah, my son just got saved at the last second by that Rory guy. And what a relief, right? And then it just all of a sudden, boom. And then that arm lands on the table. Mom freaks out. It's like a very, very, very funny scene. Very unexpected. And it's just like, there's been like no real setup for it, which I think kind of subverts like a lot of like, what happens is like you don't see like lighter fluid go into the grill or anything leading up to it, just explodes. It's like we're at the end of the movie. We got to get this one done, and it's just like really, really short and really funny and really unexpected. And so yeah, I think this is a fantastic one to include. But I hope a lot more from 2 make it on.
Yeah, this is probably one of the most unexpected deaths, like death scenes that happen in one of the Final Destination movies. Like, I do think it's good, and it's look. I'll argue it's probably one of the one of the best ending scenes in a horror movie. Maybe I'll do a list of that later, but yeah, I'm gonna give it a slight no. Personally, because I do like it. Once again, got others from two that I do think will make it on anyway that I'll bring up later. But yeah, what do you say about Brian's death? Evolution two.
It's a tough one. I think it's pretty funny. I always take issue with the logic because I don't think, according to the rules of the movie, like if Rory had died in the, I say in the crash, like there's no way he could that the news van would have arrived to that house and killed Brian, and that's why Dad is tying up that loose end. Like, doesn't make sense to me, but it is pretty funny. Like every final scene of the movie except for maybe the fourth one, which I don't care because I don't care about the characters. Like, it ends very foreboding, very threatening, something like that. Like with the death of the main characters, and this one just kills a side character just because. But it's also pretty funny how the arm falls in front of them. But on the other hand, I agree with the lot. Like, Final Destination 2, to me personally, has to have like 4 or 5 entries on this list alone, because it doesn't have my personal overall favorite out of the whole franchise, but it has my favorite set of kills, and this one is pretty low on that set. So but it's also pretty funny. um, I'll say yes, because I think it's more funny than the racist car death, but it's going to be on the lower end for me personally. But I'll give it a yes, because why not? It's very funny.
So Brian's different Final Destination 2 is going to make the list. And just quickly, it's one of those ones like I thought about this a lot when I was rewatching it, because like about the logic of it, and arguably I'd think that Brian was probably the new life that they might have been talking about, like that they all thought it was this whole new life of a kid being born or something, but it's like, but they might have been talking about bringing in a new life, which Brian, because they say Brian, he was this new person added into this whole chain of events. That's my take on it, but whether or not it's true or not, I don't know. But Chad, we go back to you. What is your next nomination?
Yeah, and I'm gonna stick with Final Destination 2, and I'm gonna go with one that I think has just a really great setup, because like a lot of stuff happens, and then you think it's done, and then right after that scene, is like a kind of a continuation of the scene, and then that's where the kill happens. I'm talking about Tim Carpenter, crushed by glass, kill. And the thing that I love about this is because, I mean, it's just a weird character. He's like, you don't really know what age he is, but he looks like a little too old to be having this relationship with his mom. It's kind of like a Norman Bates type of situation, I guess. And yet, it's just a weird character. But like, she takes him to the dentist, and you're almost like, is he old enough to take himself to the dentist? And anyway, he's there. He's making weird, like, perverted jokes about the dentist, like, giving him gas and unbuttoning his pants and stuff. And it's like, well, if you're a kid, why are you making jokes like this? And then it leads into, him in the dentist office, which the dentist can, for a lot of people, be very scary just in general. And so that, something's going to happen, right? Because this is like the big kill of this kid, or they're like, are they going to do it, kind of a deal. The big question, are they going to kill a kid in this franchise? And then a lot of the stuff, like the fish thing drops into his mouth, just a lot of like sharp instruments around, and you're just wondering, how is this kid going to get fucked up in this dentist office? And no, he walks out, he makes it out of the dentist office, only to have like someone go like, oh, the pigeons, and then he runs over to play with the pigeons and gets just like crushed by glass and just gets dumped on them. And it's so crazy how they were able to, just like film that like dummy or whatever, like filled with shit, like crushed by glass, and all the foreshadowing that happens to it, I think is really cool too. So yeah, I think this kill just kind of rules. Yeah.
This isn't actually the one I thought you were going to go with when you talked about like a lot of setup and stuff for it, but this I think is one of those ones that's finale as well, because like similar to a different one that sort of takes place in a doctor's office kind of thing. Like there's just all this kind of setup where you think like, oh yeah, I that's how it's going to go though. Like that's how I go. Only for it to turn out to be something completely different, Ray. But maybe that one will come up later. We'll find out. But yeah, like Tim's death, I think is done pretty well, because like in the rewatch, I completely forgot about the pane of glass. Like I thought he died from choking on that fish, um, and then just like just for him to go out and then like chase after the pigeons after someone else, not the pigeons, which you'd think would tell people you. But I'm not going to go after those pigeons. But anyway, it's going to be easy for me for Tim's death. But Eric, what do you say about Tim's death?
Yeah, we're a bunch of sick fucks. We're going back to back on dead children. That's fucked up. No, I think this one's pretty funny to me as well. Like, it's very similar to the Brian one, but a little bit more setup, a bit more tragedy to it, because his mom is right there and he's very dumb and goes to play with the pigeons. But I like, if we are including the whole setup, I think that dentist room so was a very scary place for many people for very different reasons. And I think the setup there is pretty good. And then, yeah, this is probably the best one that does that, like does a whole bunch of things, and it's something much more fucked up and ends up happening at the end. The Shad said the effect is pretty great, so it's a pretty easy guess for me. One of many Final Destination 2 ones that should be here, and this is pretty much up there.
I mean, it's one of those ones. Like I would argue that the whole setup kind of alludes to how it's going to happen, especially with the fact like they made it clear that pigeons is a very problem with this dentist office in the first place. But Richie, what do you say about Tim's death from Final Destination 2?
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that, like, I mean, it did hint that it would be pigeons, but also I do like how that, there's some things that are set up that's like a misdirect. So yeah, there's the dentist, and plays in your face with dentist. So you're as an audience like, oh god, there's building tension, and then when he makes it out of the dentist box, you're like, okay. And then he just randomly runs after pigeons like he's never seen pigeons before. And then he just and then, yeah, it was just like, I don't know, maybe like just like when death comes to you after the fun, like something goes wrong with your brain too. You're like, oh yeah, you pigeons, yay! So yeah, no, this is a great death as well, and yeah, it deserves to be on the list. So yes.
Tim's death is going to make the list. Back to me, and I didn't intentionally have a streak of Final Destination 2, but I'm going to go for the one that I thought Chad was going to go for, and that's Evan's death from Final Destination 2. Another one where it's like it's all this kind of setup where you feel like I know he's going to die in a fire, or is like he's going to die from have his hand caught in the seat, because really, who puts their hand in the garbage disposal to try and retrieve their rig in the first place? But then like it's just one of those ones like all the setup, like, it just turns out he gets out. You think, oh, he's safe. He just has to make them that fire escape and leave, and then it turns out like the the spaghetti that's on the ground was like he slipped on that, and then the fire escape just happened to be faulty. It just like falls down like right in his eye socket, killing him. And it's just one of those ones. Another one where it's like there's a lot of setup. You think which way it's going to go, and just for it to not happen in that way. But And it's just one of those ones, like, especially if they've kind of like made a point like, oh yeah, he just won the lottery, like and then suddenly everyone wants to be get with him and be his friend and all that. It's like as it probably happens in real life for some people. But Eric, what do you say about Evan's death from Final Destination 2?
Yeah. The Final Destination 2 one is the one that does this thing better than most movies in the franchise, like the whole setup thing. And yeah, as Malcolm said, there's a lot of ways you think it's going to go, and I think it's pretty fun. The one of the pretty first things he does in that scene is throwing out the spaghetti, and that's the end, the thing that ends up costing him. Like, even though we don't really know the character that much, I think that the fact that he just won the lottery, as you said, like, it just makes it a lot more fun. Has this twisted sense of humor that the franchise really uses well. Um, I don't think I have an issue with it. Like, I think this one should also be on the list, and I have like 2 or 3 more Final Destination 2 scenes, which tells you how great the movie is at this. So it's a yes for me as well.
Um, Richie, what do you say about Evan's death?
Yeah, I this. Only maybe it's nothing to do with the like death, like maybe like plot wise. Like, if you're gonna make him a guy that no one hangs out with, and until he wins the lottery and everyone wants to be his friend, like, don't make him a hot guy. He's a good looking dude. I think he'd be a popular guy beyond that. So yeah, but like, yeah, the death is like very memorable because it's like, he's gonna die here. No, it's like he's gonna die here. It's like, and then this might be foreshadowing other picks I might bring up later, but like, the deaths involving eyes are very effective because the eyes are very gooey and very gross and very So yeah, I so it's always very memorable. So yes, I'll say yes to this. But yeah, Final Destination 2, like we said, has a lot of good deaths. So there's a couple more that'll probably be on here too. So yeah, I'll say yes.
Chad, and what do you say about Evan's death from Final Destination 2?
Yeah. I agree with this one too. This one's pretty great. The whole thing about him winning the lottery. He's like walking up the stairs. There's like shit all on the stairs, and he's just trying to like get back with all the shit he bought, and got his watch and all this stuff. I forget everything he has, but it's a lot of really cool shit from like 2002 or whatever, that you would have wanted back then, at least. He gets into his apartment, and then one of my favorite parts, another great needle drop. There's an Incubus needle drop that pops up. Big fan of that band. And then it's also a very 2002 song to play. From their Science album, whatever, Vitamin, and then he goes to cook. He's multitasking shit. With shit, it's like trying to cook and do all this stuff, and it seems like he's got a really nice evening planned. He's trying to figure out what he's gonna do with like the rest of his money. I'm sure. He's probably got like women calling him. He's got it made, right, and like everything goes downhill really quick. The fire on the stove, getting his wrist caught in the disposal. Like someone said, why would you put your arm down there? Kind of a deal. I do it all the time, actually, to fish shit out. But, then the fire escape, it's what you got to do, right? You're just like wondering what the hell's he's going to fall. And then, the ladder almost impales him. And you're like, whew, the ladder didn't. Nope, the ladder impales him. And it's a very jump scare thing there when the ladder actually falls into his eye and then cuts away. And it's a really fun death, and I just love that whole sequence. And it's sad he won't get to spend his money, I guess, but he didn't seem to be like one of the best people anyway, so whatever. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones, like, with the exception of the first movie, is like and a few others, like some of these opening deaths, is a lot of these times the people that we don't know too much, like the racist guy, we didn't really know too much about him when he died, so like there wasn't really that much of a connection with anyway. But moving on, we've got 5 spots left. Eric, what is the next one you're going to bring up?
I don't know if I want to poke the bear and keep bringing up Final Destination 2 because there's one and a half ish. I don't know how to explain this one. I'll go for it. Why not? Like as much as I really like a good setup and payoff and all that with a lot of twists and turns. I also like the simple ones, and I think there's a pretty good simple, fairly avoidable, to be honest, kill in Final Destination 2, and it's when the business lady cat gets killed when the firefighters are trying to pry her out of the car, and they turn the airbag, and she gets stabbed with the pole. I just think that kill is great. Like has also the great effect when they show up the thing impaling her in the head. It's just very simple. It's both funny and gnarly and like avoidable. Like it's just didn't need to happen. But I just think it's great, and it's part of the other really. Like I don't think if this one makes it, the other one does because it's the first part of the next death. Like the one where the barbed wire goes up and cuts the what's his name, Rory out. Like I also like that one, but I think I like the cat one the part better because it's just the effect is great. It's very sudden. You're not expecting that. It's like sort of the like that very memorable came from the first one. Like you're not expecting it, but in a much more creative way, I guess. And that's why I like it. So I'll nominate that one.
Richie, what do you say about Cat's death from Final Destination 2?
This is tough because like I do like that death, but I do like the aforementioned death that comes afterwards. Like a bit better. I think that definitely should make the list. So again, like sort of other ones I would say, and then it's other couple other ones. We got 5 spots left. So ones from other movies that I want to make the list as well. So I will give it a slight no, but I don't mind if it makes the list.
Chad, what do you say about Cat's death from Final Destination 2?
I'll put it on Malcolm and give this one a yes, just because I've always really liked this one too. Because like Eric was saying, it's very simple and very short, but like a lot of stuff like led up to it happening. She's like trapped in this car. She's stuck under like a log, and she's got the PVC whatever behind her. And the fire guy comes. He's supposed to save her, right? And he's the exact one that causes her death. And it's just really funny because like it comes with like perfect like character moment where she's a business lady, right? She's just like making the phone call, like, can you keep that down, please, while you're saving me? And then he goes, yeah, I'll put it on quiet mode. And then he bangs the car, and then just instant like airbag, head, dead. And it's very creepy the way that happened too. It's just like very scary, like to think about that happening and just instantaneously you're dead, just because you asked someone to turn down their life-saving equipment or whatever. And so this is a pretty great one, I think. But yeah, there are so many others in this movie alone that I totally get if it also doesn't make it. But I think Eric picked a good one here.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think the person saving was like a little bit of a sarcastic dick as well. But it's like, oh yeah, I'm just being quiet. But it's like, oh, this person's a bitch. But it's like, but that being said, this is one of those ones that it's super tough for me because I there's not really a death I don't like in this, but this death is probably the least like on my list that like I remember too much. Like some of these deaths like came to me instantly before I even decided to rewatch the movie. But like this is one of those ones that's like that I probably would have forgotten about had I not rewatched it. So it's going to be a slight no for me. But it's not going to make the list. Richie, we go back to you. What is your next nomination?
I'll bring up the one that I thought Chad was going to bring up from the Final Destination, which is what I like to call ass vacuum, where the dude Hunt's character at the start gets sucked into the pool and his innards just like fall out. this. I think this is just ridiculous and funny, even though the CGI for some reason, given it is really bad, but it kind of makes it seem. But yeah, like this, it's just really memorable. Where yeah, and again, it's another case of like an asshole sort of getting his comeuppance as well, because it's like, oh, okay, this is funny, but he's also an unlikable character. So but yeah, I think this one and the aforementioned one we mentioned before, the one we mentioned before, the only two good deaths in the film. But so I don't know, I thought I'd give a shout out to this one, give it some love, even though it's not a great movie.
Chad, what do you say about Hunt's death from the Final Destination?
Yeah, I'm always on the fence of this one because yeah, he is not a great guy. He's like maybe the worst character. No, there's a racist. That's right. Never mind. He's one of the worst people in the movie. But he and I think Richie, you talked about the CGI. I think a lot of that was to do with something they said that they couldn't actually do it because it was like actual like people there. Like I think there were like real people there or something. I can't remember exactly. It was like a real public pool. They just couldn't fuck with it like that. But when I actually think about it, because I was thinking about saying no to this one because I thought I had picked the best one from there, and I still think that because I really like the other scene with the racist guy. But I think this is a pretty good one too, especially in a movie that's not so great because knowing like the behind the scenes and that he had to actually go under there and with scuba equipment and do all the breathing and stuff just to act underwater for like so long. It's kind of like what Dan Radcliffe had to do in Goblet of Fire and stuff like that. Like that kind of acting is really cool and kind of scary. But like the scene, like the way Richie described it too, is just you just remember just how funny the scene actually is. Just like, wait, what the fuck is happening right now? and it actually kind of does make the movie a little bit more enjoyable, even though like sometimes I'm like I don't want to watch this scene because it's so hard to watch, but I think that's also just makes it kind of scary and funny and everything too. So there's a lot going on with this one, and I don't think anybody would have expected this kind of kill, and it's just it's just so weird. But so yeah, I'll give it a slight yes, and I think it's probably gonna make it handily here.
Yeah, this is my favorite one for the Final Destination. Like, just because like it is a really unexpected way to die as well. Because like, it's one of those ones like you never expect like the pool to have it such suction to suck
So
it
insides out.
Yeah, and just punctuated with the eye that sort of drops out afterwards, which I still don't get why it's the eye. um, but but yeah, it's just one of those fun deaths, and it's one of those ones like and it's one of those things I really like about Forest Ashes and Unplugged is they do, sometimes they occasionally do these deaths, which is so unbelievable, like stuff that wouldn't really happen in real life, and make it look like something that could happen. So it's an easy yes to me. Eric, what do you say about Hunt's death from the Final Destination?
Yeah, one of the things about this movie is that even though the racist guy is so much of a worse person, like we have to spend so much time with Hunt, like, and he dies like he gets in the pool because he's looking for his lucky coin, like because he gets in a fight with a kid before, like he died because he was being an asshole. So it's fitting that he died through the asshole. I think it's fair. And I think that this is the other kill I was talking about in in the movie. Like I think it's also a little bit scary, like to be stuck in the water surrounded by people who are not looking at you. Like it's both scary, funny, and vindictive in the way like that this guy kind of deserves to die, so we don't mind seeing him die. Like I was thinking also of the parallel scene they are doing in the car wash. With if she had died in that scene, it would have been a great kill as well, but she didn't die. She was a nothing character, so I wouldn't have minded if they didn't save her, but she survived, so it's not on the list. But at the very least, I'm glad her asshole boyfriend died. So yeah, it's a yes for me.
With that, Hunt's death is going to make the list. Chad, we go to you for your next nomination.
All right. I think I'm going to go with another one that's like so freaking hard to watch for me, but I think that's what makes it a really cool kill is just the thought of something like this. Like who thought of this, and also the engineering that went into making this. And so I'm gonna also go to Final Destination 3, and I'm gonna pick the death of Frankie Cheeks. So this is the guy that dies with the engine to the back of the head.
The
Yeah.
drive-through. The drive-through. Yeah.
Yes. So the cool thing, and by the way, I know some of the background information just by watching the kill counts on Dead Meat. But yeah, I love how they're like this hill going leading into a building is like the perfect kind of setting, but there's no drive through here, so they created one. They like made that whole thing, and it's just like such a really cool thing about filmmaking when people are like, I'm just gonna make this thing, and it's just got to look like a drive through just enough to get this shot. And so they're sitting in the car, they're afraid about like what's going to come next. They're bonding. These are the main characters, like Mary Elizabeth Winstead and dude from Smart House, and they're just Ryan Merriman, and they're just talking about like SpongeBob. Like he's like, what does he say? Something about I know a character that lives in a pineapple under the sea, and she's like, it's really sad that you know that. And he's like, and then it's like, what? Why? Everyone knows who SpongeBob is, but yeah, they're having kind of nothing conversation, and they're trying to figure out what's going to happen next. And car comes careening down. You think they're about to be crushed by this car, but they dive out of the way, at the last second. It hits their car, and the engine flies out of it into the back of this dude's head. And it's and it's just so creepy to watch, thinking about the engine landing into this dude's head and the way they like constructed that, and got this guy's head to like look realistically just bludgeoned by this motor. I don't even know I guess it's possible for something like that to happen, but it just looks so crazy, and just really, really cool. I had one other thing that I was going to bring up about this, but it is or just a really, really cool death. I'll bring it up later if I remember. But yeah, this one, Frankie Cheeks. Frankie Cheeks is one of the worst characters because he's always trying to, take shots of ladies and stuff, and is always very, very pervy. So, yeah.
I mean, if you hadn't said that, I would have. But yeah, this is the diff I was talking about. Where on the Choose Your Own Fate version of Baldur's Gate 3, this is the death you stop prevent, which I accidentally prevented because I put the one of that's going to cause the death. I want to see the death. I forgot how gruesome it was. I ended up accidentally saving it, but which is a lot of fun in itself because if you end up saving Frankie, then later on in the movie, you're at the police station. You'll see Frankie getting out of a police car, being arrested for something. It's like, and then you get a pop-up going like, was Frankie worth saving? If you pick yes, you see the whole backstory of what he was arrested for, which is short. To cut it short, like is it was for sexually harassing a undercover cop who set up like a sting at a cafe or something. But like you also see like all the footage he took from his perspective, like of those under the crotch shots and stuff. Because like they showed a whole thing of them. Like this footage has been taken by the cops' car, but going back to the death, like this death I thought was a lot of fun. Like this is the one I ended up just sort of rewatch it, going back and rewatching it, just to remind myself of it, and yeah, it's just what it's quite simple, but it's just also quite refreshing as well because he wasn't a very nice character to begin with, and just a bit of an asshole as well. And so it's always good seeing the assholes getting the comeuppance. And Yeah, I'll give a slight yes. Eric, what do you say about Frankie's death from Boulder Station 3?
I don't know about this one. Like we have what four spots left. I think I like one or two of Final Destination 3 a little bit better than this one. Then there's one I feel stronger about it in another movie, but also it's also a pretty creative one. Like I like the engine going through the car and going through him. Like they never even set up that he was ahead of them. Like they kind of do. We see the car there, but we never see that it's Frankie Sheiks. Like
Yeah,
it's
that's so cool.
unexpected in that way. Like in one hand, it's like pretty cool. Like yeah, you're not expecting it. Like you think they survived? Not everybody. Somebody died, and
Yeah.
assholes dying in these movies are the best part. I just have hesitation because I want a couple more different stuff to appear on the list. I'll say no, but I wouldn't mind if it went in the list. I'll see what Richie says, but I wouldn't mind it. I think it's a good kill.
Richie, what do you say about Frankie's death from Boulder Station 3?
Damn it, Eric. Yeah. I think I've got that DVD somewhere. That's what I was just scanning the I was scanning the shelf for because I haven't actually. I probably even had the DVD. I don't think I ever took advantage of like that mode. So I wouldn't mind watching that. So yeah, this does stick out though in its creativity, and also I think it's one of this sticks out to me as one of the more gory deaths. Like it's very just very graphic. Like and yeah, me and Malcolm had a trivia question about that. This very death like the other day on Why We Love Horror. Uh, but yeah, but yeah, there's a few others I wouldn't mind from other films, and there's a couple from this particular movie. I'm going to say yes because of creativity, and it does stick out.
That Frankie's death is going to make the list. That's on to me. So I've got 3 spots left. I'm going to go for this one, see what happens. I'm going to go for Olivia's death from Final Destination 5. And this was the other one I kind of was referring to about them liking these whole setups and doctor's offers only for the deaths to not happen the way you think. And this is one of those ones that I actually found really hard to watch at times, especially with the whole laser eye sequence, because like just imagining a laser going into your eyes is not it's not fun to think about at all. But it's just one of those deaths where it's like you think they're going to be dying by being cut apart from this laser, and then like you see I can't remember who it was that walked in at the time, walk in to prevent it. Olivia gets up and then just obviously because she can't see right because her eyeballs been sort of cut up a lot. It's like she just runs straight out the window and like falls to her death. Well, it was just one of those ones where it's very simple, just set up in a way where you think it's going to go one way, then but it goes a different way. I think it's
And then a car runs over her eyeball.
yeah. But this franchise in eyes, but Eric, what do you say about Olivia's death from Polity Station 5?
Yes, as an glasses wearing person, I'm always afraid of like laser surgery, especially after this movie. But I have this issue with it. I like this one I had on my list before I thought it a little bit over because I always remember like actually being the cause of death, the laser, but it is and it isn't. And this is the one where the setup is so much stronger than the payoff. Like the payoff itself is just the fall, which isn't that creative to me. Like I don't know, I'm not involved in the franchise, so I wouldn't like know how to end it better. But I think the actual eye stuff is much stronger than the way it ends. Like it's different to compare it to the team one, which we already picked. Like that one has a strong setup and a great payoff in a very unexpected, sort of much more gnarly way than this one. So if we're going like exclusively for the damage he gets from the eye, like sure, it's a great one, but the actual death, it isn't as great. Even if I think the eye stuff at the end, like being it compared to the bear, she tripped up the eye of the bear. Like it's a good like comparison, like joke, I guess. But to me, it's just short of the top 12. So, but it's a good one. I wouldn't mind if it made it, but it's a no for me.
Richie, what do you say about Olivia's death on Foldy Station 5?
Like I referenced it like earlier again because like eyeballs that they make sort of gruesome deaths, and I was all set to bring it up. It was on my list. Eric makes a good point though. I think it's it's an interesting like the eye thing. It would make it interesting. Like it's an interesting injury, but like the way she dies, just falls to her death. Is not that part's not as memorable. It's just it's the actual just the lead up to it and the actual horrific injury she sustains prior to it. So I'm going to go a slight no.
And Chad, what do you say about Olivia's death on Foldy Station 5?
I would have said yes to this one. I did have it like on my list. I really like how this scene is helmed. I really like a lot of the eye imagery and just like the foreshadowing of the eye, the way that the thing that she's holding on to for comfort, the bear, is the thing that ends up leading to her death. I think is really cool. And it's just also very scary because, like nothing happens to Tim actually in the office. It's only later, but here she actually gets her eye like fucked up, like seriously. And it's just so scary to like think about like a tool like that malfunctioning and the doctor not knowing. The doctor's like, oh, this is perfectly normal, everything, we do this kind of stuff all the time. And then the bear and the eye popping up for tripping over that, but also just freaking out because of what happens with her eyes, only to have her eye pop out after she falls and then it getting run over. I think it's just such a cool designed thing. So I disagree a little bit, but I see where Eric and Richie are coming from as well. Like if she would have died like in the office from just getting her like brain singed from this laser or something like, I don't know, maybe that could have been like some sort of like Saw kind of death. Like that franchise goes hard. I would have said yes because I just think it's really cool. And, I like Olivia as a character. So I'm always really sad about it, so I think that adds to it that, there's a little bit of emotion there for me as well. So,
But for that, Olivia's death isn't going to make the list. Eric, we go to you for your next nomination.
Yeah. So I got a couple options. Like, I'll go for the most, like the other kill I was talking about in Final Destination 3, and I'm going for Erin, McKinley's girlfriend in the hardware store. Like, just the way the effect of the nail gun goes, like, it's just very, it's both very, very, I don't want to say fun, but it's very, like, very creative, very creepy, the way it starts going like that. And I like this one particularly for that, because the whole setup with Wendy saving McKinley first, and then the whole stuff that happens, the way she falls, the trips, and the gun just happens to be there. Like the guy McKinley was an asshole too, but in a different way, in a more of a school shooter way. Like he shot a bird earlier in that scene, and like he's an asshole. So the fact that the weapon they kind of used before in that scene getting her killed is kind of relevant, and also this kill. And the first kill we brought up from Final Destination 5 startup setup of events that is actually pretty interesting for this franchise, for both Final Destination 3 and Final Destination 5, which is that a character related to the victim, in this case, it goes out and tries to not avenge but gets vendetta against the other characters because of that. And in this movie, this is the way it sets up. Like McKinley goes through this because that happened. And I think it's the other pretty cool death scene in Final Destination 3, although Frankie's death is more funny. but Erin's is also good. I'll go for that.
Yeah. although to be fair, the difference between 3 and 5 is more of a case like with N's vendetta is more of a case like he just hates him because his girlfriend died. In 5, I was set up. You kill someone, you get their life force. So
No. In 5, it's
but
much better because
I get
also, yeah, because in 5, like the death happens much earlier in the movie, so you actually see the character develop those feelings and actually get insane.
yeah.
And in McKinley 1, you're more like on the expectation that he's a school shooter in the making. It's very different.
I, know,
It's
I
more
got
of a
what you,
vibe thing.
yeah, no, I got what you're meaning. But Richie, what do you say about Aaron's death from Final Destination 3?
Yeah, like on my sort of like short list in my head, I had like those two other deaths in Final Destination 3, and this was one of them. The nail gun, it's just pretty gnarly. Yeah, just the yeah, yeah, just the way it happens, and yeah, because you expect it. Yeah, 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 just the brutal way it sort of happens as well. So yeah, I would definitely say yes.
Chad, what do you say about Aaron's death from Final Destination 3?
Yeah. I'm also a yes on this one. I think this one's pretty incredible. I just like that whole setup where you got like two characters, and they're both not great, and they're just going there to like find out more information or whatever. And you're like in a hardware store, so many things can go wrong. And yeah, of course, I'm glad. Well, I don't know about her. She's not that bad, to be honest. But he's terrible. And killing the birds, like Eric mentioned. And how that plays into the thing. And you're just seeing all these things shift in this hardware store, and the little forklift thing goes on its own. And all these like little events that are happening, you're just like wondering like what's gonna be the downfall of one or both of these characters, or maybe one of the main characters. You don't even know. And then when it happens to her, and it's just so sudden with the nails, it's just so scary and so cool how they film it. And just to see it, like I think sure like hand is attached to her face or something like that. It's like so weird how it happens, but it's like so scary to think about, like nails doing that to you. Yeah, such a really cool how it plays out. And it's it's kind of more fun to watch than to talk about, actually, I guess. But because there's not much else to say, I think. But I do think this is an incredible one, so I'm glad Eric brought it up, so I'll say yes.
Yeah, this would have been a yes for me as well. Like out of the franchise, I think both 2 and 3 had some really cool death scenes, honestly. But but yeah, Aaron's death is an easy yes for me. It's just one of those ones that once again caused by like arguably you could say it was still loosely connected to pigeons. Because there was a bird that Ian was shooting at, but it's still one of those deaths which is instantly memorable. Like as you say, nail gun death from Final Station, you know instantly what they're talking about. And yeah, so it's going to make the list. Got 2 spots left. Richie, what one are you going to bring up?
I'll try and bring out this one. We've talked about a lot of like assholes getting their comeuppance, and I think they're the coolest deaths. So I'm going to bring up one from Final Station 5, and that's I think the spiritual brother of Frankie Cheeks, Isaac, in the massage parlor, where he's he's just a sex pest really, and yeah, he's in the massage parlor. Yeah, all of a sudden, like he, in a bit, it's just one of these things go wrong. Oh yeah, like he basically he gets masseuse, doesn't watch, it's a bit too rough, and then putting the acupuncture needles in, and then he starts to fire with the candles, and then he's got all these needles in him, and trying to and he's trying trying to escape the situation. He rolls over, falls off the bed, and then the needles get stuck into him and grow, and then it ultimately culminates in like the statue falling off and just crushing his head. Yeah, but like it's a memorable death, but also because he's such a unlikable unlikable character, but yet also just it is kind of and it is kind of funny and also really gnarly because it is cringy watching that like those acupuncture needles go into him and this like the fact that like he fell on his stomach, so it just they all it's very hard to watch, but it is an entertaining scene. So I'm gonna bring up Isaac's death in Final Destination 5.
Chad, what do you say about Isaac's death from Final Destination 5?
It's tough because we're down to 2. But I'm thinking about saying yes to this, and then like seeing us like cram for that last spot to see what's the perfect one to get last. Because I do think this is like you said, a very similar, like Frankie's dead, a very similar type of character. A sex fiend asshole kind of guy that you just don't like, but Final Destination loves to make those kinds of characters so they can kill them and you're not mad about it. I do think the setup is really great. Him going to the massage parlor. It's also very tanning bed death ish because it's like a place that you're going to better yourself for relaxation or whatever. He's probably there for other reasons, like he wants them to do something else to him, I'm sure. And yet, he's doing the acupuncture and then, he gets, impaled by those. And then I do like how I think he like points out or like makes fun of the Buddha statue, but like when he goes in there or something.
Yeah, he does.
And then it ends up landing on his head. And then, the last shot is like the shot of like little smiling Buddha with blood on him, which is really funny. I don't know if it's like disrespectful to any religions, but it's funny. So I'm gonna give it a slight yes and see what Malcolm and Eric think, if maybe there's a bunch of other ones, or if maybe we're good to wrap it up with this and another iconic one.
Also, if this, I'd like to think the owners of the Massive Show just right outside the door here and seems like, oh yeah, that's fine. Here's a dick. We won't go see what's happening. Because just from the start, I was like, when they switched to the mashup, it's like, oh, where's the other one? Like, I want the other one back. But I mean, this scene sort of showed everything you need to know about this character. It's like, just like Carter and some of the early deaths, like this is one of those characters where they didn't really show too much of in their opening, but this whole scene sort of leading up to this, they've showed everything you need to know. Because I think, if I remember right, this was the second death before they find out about the whole killing people get life force sort of thing. But yeah, this is just one of those ones where I think it's pretty cool, and yeah, as Chad said, that I think that last shot was kind of made it as well. Just seeing the bit of blood on it, and just a quick thing, I don't think it's a spill because I think that's how the Buddha's always portrayed, like it's smiling and that. So not so much with the blood covering it.
Yeah, I think it's the blood thing, not the much the smiling.
But I think there's a lot of the Buddhas I've seen is all that smiling kind of symbology anyway. But yeah, so I'm going to give this a slight yes. Eric, what do you say about Isaac's death in Final Destination 5?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite stuff about this particular movie. Like, I don't think that the characters are like Oscar-winning developed. Like, they're not super characters, but they are much better than some of the other movies in that. And even though this one is also an asshole and so much more than that, and he gets to be a little bit more funny with it, like when he's stealing the stuff of his dead coworkers. Like he that's how he got the ticket for the for the spa. And just P.J. Byrne is a much better actor than the other assholes we see in the franchise, so I think it's pretty funny the scene itself. This is the death that ended up replacing the Olivia's death in my list. I think this one is pretty similar to that in the sense that he gets to suffer a little bit more before the actual death, but I think the payoff is a little bit better. Like it's not super creative the way he dies, like a statue falls on his head, but I think it's funnier. I think it's more fitting to his character. And I also something that Chad brought up, like there's something about death scenes in places where you think you're going to be comfortable, which is pretty creepy. Like the way the tanning bed, even though I never thought that, but a spa should be like a safe place, and it just isn't. And also be a little bit fault of he's dumbass. I'll give it a yes just to see what we fight about for the last pick, but it's a yes for me as well.
And this is one of those ones that just on a bit of a side note, like when I rewatched Spoilers Such Five, like this is one of those characters I looked up his filmography just to see, because as well as I was like, I know I've seen other than the Spoilers 5, I know I've seen that guy in other movies before, but and just seeing is like, he's got a really extensive filmography. Like he was Neil Cavuto in Bombshell and Father John in a movie called Countdown.
And he's in Babylon.
Yeah, he was the assistant director. But yeah, that Isaac Steph is going to make the list. Chad, we go to you. What is your next nomination?
I'm between two, and they're both incredible, iconic ones from the first movie. And so I'm trying to figure out which one to say. Okay, I think I'm going to go with this one. But if this doesn't make it, then I'm hoping someone brings up the other one, although there's a lot from the other ones that aren't the first movie that could still probably be brought up. But I'll go with this one because I think this was my favorite of the first movie. And it's the death of Val Lewton, the teacher. I think this one's iconic because, you have the whole Rocky Mountain High song that's being played that's like special for like the death of her mom, and that becomes kind of like iconic for like the franchise. It's like a song will be played, like a gust of wind will happen, and all this stuff. And I just like the setup of she's about to drink. She's got the crack in the cup, and just all of these things just from the cold to hot temperatures break the glass, and you're just like thinking all of this stuff is going to happen. The house catches on fire, and you think maybe that's going to happen, but what really happens is she ends up injured on the floor, and she's trying to reach up for a rag to wipe herself off, and she pulls off the knife thing, and a knife ends up like impaled into her chest, but that's not actually what kills her right away. Alex shows up, and he's very dumb, and he's just like there, and the well, he doesn't have anything to do with it, I don't think. The explosion or something causes the chair to fall on her, and it drives the knife even deeper. And then what I think happens after that is really, really funny, is that he pulls the knife out and is just getting his fingerprints all over the place. So it's almost like not just the death itself, but like how Alex intervenes, and then seeing Billy show up just riding his bike, seeing Alex running from the house and the house exploding. Billy's like, what the fuck? I don't know. I just love reactions like that from people in these scenes, that they're just showing like the insanity of what's going on. So yeah, I was between two, but I'm going to pick that one because that's the one that I enjoy watching the most. It's kind of similar to the Evan death in 2, because it's like a thing like where you're at home, and I couldn't even imagine like pulling a knife from like the counter, and then it lands into me, and that just sounds so scary too. So I think this one's iconic, so I'll go Val Lewton.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like I would argue is probably more the explosion that ended up killing Miss Luton than everything Alex did to try and intervene more than knife. It's hard to tell if she was dead before the house exploded or not. But it's obvious that if it wasn't a knife, it was definitely the explosion. But yeah, this is look. This is it's kind of made it easy for me to riff what I'm going to say here. Because I do like this one. There's another one from the first movie that I like a little bit more though. And so it's going to be a slight no, but it's definitely not a terrible one either. Eric, what do you say about Miss Lucian from Final Destination?
Like I agree, the remaining spot should be to the first movie because we only have one. That's weird, and this is not the one. This is not the one for me as well. Like this one, it's like the baby steps to that type of situation in this franchise, and I think they improve on that one, on that type of kill so much more in the second one. So watching this back, and even when I saw the movie for the first time, I thought this one kind of stretched like belief for me, like the way she throws the her vodka on the ground. It seems just very dumb. I don't know. Like the tone of this movie is very different to the other sequels. It's not tongue in cheek as the other ones as much. And also this, I don't remember if this particular scene has it, but there's something about the movie, the way the movie tries to frame the luring death, like with a CGI blob-ish thing. I don't remember if it's in this scene, but it's definitely in another kill on the movie earlier. So this one is in should be great. It's long listed, but it's not the one that should be here. But the one I have here is so much dumber, but it's for a very different reason. But I'll go to it if I get the chance to talk about it. But it's a no, but I wouldn't mind it being here. But it's not going to make it because we already said no twice.
Richie, what do you say about Miss Luton's death?
Yeah, I appreciate that. It is memorable, but I think the one that you might be referencing that you thought of bring out, I do think is better. So if that gets brought up, if we get time, if it comes back around and gets brought up, it might make the list. If nothing else gets convinces otherwise. But yeah, I'll say no to this one, but it is a good day.
But yeah, that's Miss Luton's death is on my list. It comes back round to me. And this is one of those ones like I'm not going to go for the first movie. I'm going to try for this one because I think this is another one of those fun deaths similar to Carter, which you've got a character who goes like, nobody's killing me, then ended up dying. I'm going for Lewis's death from Final Destination 3. Because like they go, he when they go to try and warn him, is like, oh, no one's gonna kill me. I'll be fine. Like, and then it's like he's just doing on the weightlifting. The knives cut the cords to the weights, I think, and then it's like he goes to pull down the weights and just completely demolishes his head, just killing him instantly. It's like, this is just one of those deaths that I think is really good. Just the lead up with it's one of those ones where it's a pretty simple lead up where it's like these characters trying to warn him to be careful. It's like, and then him just being stubborn, like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go work out anyway. It's like, and that's what ends up killing him. It's just, I think it's just a fun death. But Eric, what do you say about Lewis's death from Final Destination 3?
Yeah, I think Final Destination 3 is very well represented so far. So that's it. I'm not gonna make it long. It's a no for me. Like, even though this one I remember liking so much more on first watch, but after watching it again and again, I think there's something about the effect on this death that doesn't do it for me. Like, I need my blood to be a little bit realer. I don't know what. Like, it's just me, but it's a good kill. Like, if the list were more open, I agree to it, but it's not. So it has to be the first movie. Sorry.
Richie, what do you say about Lewis's death?
Yeah, like I was expecting to bring this up in my honorable mentions, and he brought it up. The fact he brought it up last, I'm like, I was like, Malcolm, you dick. But yeah, because I do like this death a lot. The actor's name is Texas Battle, by the way. That's a fucking great name. Just a great name. And yeah, but yeah, especially for the character he plays, it's just like he's too. It's very much too masculine, too wrapped up in toxic masculinity to be scared about anything. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. Yeah, but like, kind of, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm kind of on the same wavelength as Eric. That I think the first movie needs to be represented here. So I'm going to say no, but that pains me because it's a good death.
And Chad, what do you have said about Lewis's death?
Yeah, I'm definitely on the same page as the other two. Like, it's not like a bad kill. It's fun in its setup and everything, and it is really scary, like how it happens. Although I do think Eric makes a good point about like the effects aren't that great. So it like could have been done better for sure. Kind of like the one in the Final Destination, even if they had like a good reason for it, being like CGI blood or whatever. But I also agree that looking over the list, I'm like only having one from the first movie. I think is not good. So yeah, it's also like a purely numbers thing here too. That I'm like, 3 is a good one, but I think it's still like a middle of the road movie, and we already have 3 from it. So yeah, I might pull an Eric too, and like maybe only say anything. Say yes to a one from the first movie, unless someone pulls out something that's like, no, that's the one. So.
But Eric, it comes down to you. What line are you going to bring up?
So I'm going to have to play "Hear Me Out" and "Let Me Cook" because the one that I was planning on having the remaining spot is Terry's death from the first movie, like the girl hit by the bus. I just think you need to have the real balance in these movies. Like you need the good setup kills, like, and I think those are great. I love those. But there's a reason that in the first movie is so memorable. It's just so sudden, so unexpected. The character is nothing really, but the death itself is very memorable. Like, it's very dumb. She just walks backwards to the street who does that. But it's one of those things in these movies that you really need to have that balance. The best movies in the franchise have both of those, like unexpected, sudden kills, almost scary. Like, there's stories about this scene being played in theaters and people actually being shocked and needed to rest up. And this, that even though it's not the most creative, and they even, like, if somebody had brought up this exact that but in the fourth movie, which that's how they kill Bubba in the Final Destination, and that one is not great because A is the same dead, but also they play it twice like, in the mission, and then again he dies the same. But in this movie, like, this and the Billy Hitchcock movie are the top two in this movie for me, because one is very creative, very set up. The other one is just very sudden, very shocking, very like. Yeah. So this is the one that should make it. It should make it a little bit higher because it's a fun death, even if it's brief.
And just quickly before we go around, it's also one of those ones, like, if Pez was there, he would point out the fact there was a movie mistake as well. Because if you look down the street from where the bus comes from, there's a whole bunch of construction down the street. So realistically, there shouldn't be the bus coming that way anyway. But Richie, what are your thoughts about Terry's death from Final Destination?
It's not the one from the first movie I thought you were going to bring up, but yeah, I was thinking of something else. But however, I remember thinking about this one the first time. Like, I remember seeing it in the theater and then laughing, probably not the best reaction, but I just, because I was shocked. I was like, oh shit. And yeah, I like when that you're like, you let your guard down as audience member. Then, oh yeah. And I'm pretty sure there's a peek behind the curtain. I'm pretty sure, wasn't this, you had this as a GIF in our chat? Chat. Yeah. So yeah. I kind of, I don't know, man. I like, if the other one that I'm thinking of makes the list, I'm cool with it too. But I'm kind of sold me. I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah. Like, I forgot to mention, like, this scene is also very shocking because the deaths, like, there's 2 or 3 deaths before this one. Those are so elaborate, so big setup death, and then there's this one. Like, in the context of the movie and the franchise works so much better. That's why it should be. Like I'm still pushing. It's not a debate, but I'm debating.
But Chad, what are your thoughts about Terry's death from Final Destination?
Yeah, Eric, you didn't have to try this hard. I was always going to say yes to this one. So this is going to close it out because this was the other one I was thinking of. I was like, you know what? Should I do like because Terry's death in this movie is so iconic because of its simplicity and just like sudden nature and how it stands out against so many of the other deaths. It's kind of like the Billy one that there's a little bit of setup because it keeps cutting back to the metal before it happens, but that one also happens pretty suddenly. And then this one does have Alex looking at the window and seeing the bus driving. So it has like a little bit of setup, but it's like so you expect more to happen before it just happens. And honestly, this kind of like sends like shockwaves, I think, through like horror after it, because I don't know how many scenes like this happened before the original Final Destination, but if you look at scenes like in Mean Girls that happens to Regina, with the school bus, and then so many other scenes where I'm just like waiting, like watching someone walking out into a street without looking. I'm waiting for something like this to happen to them because Final Destination scared the shit out of me. It just I'm always expecting that now, even though it will not usually happen, but I'm always thinking it's going to because of Terry. Rest in peace. And it is such a cool, iconic scene. And I picked Val because I just like everything that like surrounds that a little bit more as like a full scene, but like as like a shocking death, Terry's has it in the bag, I think. So I'm glad Eric brought this up because I didn't, and I wish I had, but we're getting it anyways.
Yeah, this one came up the same year as Meet Joe Black, right? I'm pretty sure. Like so back to back, like
that same thing happens in that movie.
You haven't seen it? It's similar, but much more cartoonish, which is weird for between Final Destination and a serious drama. if you've seen Meet Joe Black,
I believe Meet Joe Black came out in '98, if I remember right.
All right.
I don't think it was the same year as Final Destination. But anyway, this is one of those deaths that I do think is unexpected, but is also it's one of those ones that I am going to say no to just because it's not. Once again, it's still not my favorite out of the first movie. Well, it's probably a more unexpected on that side of things. It's just one of those ones that just happens really fast as well, and like it's just not when I think about it a lot when I think about them. There, but I'm going to say no. Richard, you said yes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe it's going to make the list then, which means that closes off the list. But before we sort of rank these, we're going to go into honorable mentions. Going to go to you first, Richie. What is someone we had?
We kind of brought. I mean, the one I thought you were going to bring up for that Final Destination. The first one is Todd's death. The start, the bathroom, because a lot of fake outs before he ends up just getting hung by the basically the bathroom cord. So that and then I've got even though it was just quick, like Dennis from the David Koechner's character, just the wrench through the eyes. That was pretty good. Beyond that, I think we sort of covered. I mean, another one you mentioned, Rory with the barbed wire, the cheese. Basically, it reminded me of Ghost Ship. If you've seen the opening of Ghost Ship, where everybody gets impaled by the only good part of that movie, where everyone gets impaled by the barbed wire. That's surrounding protected like a 1-2 punch. the hospital explosion from Final Destination 2. Snarly. Also another one from 2. The elevator decapitation from 2 is good too. So yeah, that's the ones I'm thinking of.
Chad, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
Yeah, there's quite a bit actually. There's probably some I'm just like not even thinking of right now. And we like to talk about a lot of the Rube Goldberg style ones because that's what this franchise is. But you have like the other ones that are kind of like outside the box, like Peter Friedkin and like that whole like fight in the kitchen before he gets like impaled. But that's more so someone else impaling him instead of death doing it or whatever. So I don't know if that would have ranked very high, but I think that's a pretty cool scene. And then Rory is great. I love the Todd scene as well. If this was a list of 15, I'm sure like some of those would definitely have made it on for sure. Like a side character, but Roy Carson impaled by the hook in 5, I think is a really crazy one. And then you have Nathan Sears at the end when he finds out that he's still on the list, and then he gets crushed by the jet engine. It's kind of a side kill from the one Malcolm brought up earlier with the plane exploding and all that stuff. Which I am a little bit sad that one didn't make it on now that I think about it. But, it's okay. I think we have a pretty great list of 12, and I think that's about it that I have to bring. Oh, the Carter getting crushed by the sign.
For me, Ian's death from Final Destination 3, I think was pretty cool, just being crushed by a cherry picker. And it's another one where, depending on what choice you make, you either get the scene that plays out in the movie from being crushed, just showing the finger to the main characters, or he just gets completely splattered. And going back to the Final Destination, this is one of those ones where it's just a super ridiculous way to go that I just found really funny as well. Is Jonathan Groves being crushed by the bathtub? He's just in hospital recuperating from his injuries, and he just happened to be in this right place at the right time for the bathtub to crush him.
It's like the serious version of the comedic like piano falling on you.
Yeah.
And one more thing, I didn't. I'm sorry, you weren't done. Go ahead.
And the finals, once again, it may be simplistic, but the final scene of the Final Destination with Nick, Lloyd, and Janet all being sort of killed by the truck to the driving through the window, and that well, I don't think it's clear that they actually died, or because I think that's just when it ends. I don't think we know if they died or not, but it's just one of those ones. Yeah. But Eric, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
Yeah, and second thought, I wish we had fought more for the final kill in Final Destination 5. Like, that was pretty great, all things considered. I was also thinking of Rory's death with the barbed wire, followed by the one followed by Kat's death. I mean, we don't see it happen, but the thought of Wendy and her friends and her sister dying is also like, if we had actually seen the scene, it would have made it on the list, I guess. But since we don't see it, like, it doesn't make it. But the sound itself is pretty eerie. And I'm also, just to point out, nobody brought any actually bad scenes, so that's a plus. Like, there's just 2 good ones in that Final Destination, so there's a lot of bad ones.
Yeah.
Like, I Got My Eye on You, like the car killing Bubba. The mechanics that is not that bad, but the effects are so crappy.
The lawnmower one, the lawnmower thing.
That's the one that I Got My Eye on You.
Mm-hmm. The Iron Man. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you also have you also have the girl getting crushed by the escalator, but that was a premonition. So
that's all right. I always been afraid of that happening to me. So that's not too bad, but the effect is pretty bad.
Eric's afraid of escalators.
Yeah. I'm afraid of getting I use just the sneakers, so like could happen, Yeah.
No, that's all right. Like, I like being sort of very bad escalators one time when I took too big of a step and almost went head first down an escalator once. So I get
Yeah,
no.
it could happen.
thank God for rations. But anyway, but now we've made our short list. I've felt it's time to rank them. And how the ranking works, and write down on the whiteboard what we want to be at like 12, 11 and that, and then whatever gets the most votes will be at that spot. But Eric, what do you have for 12?
My God, Racist Carter from Final Destination 4.
Richie, what do you have for 12?
Yeah, give me a sec.
Yeah, that's why
I
I was
could-
making the list during the thing. So that,
I could have just vocalized it, but yeah, I had the same thing.
yeah. Racist guy.
Chad, what do you have for 12?
Yeah, I didn't rush to grab my whiteboard, so I'll just vocalize if that's okay. But yeah, I'm fine with
Yeah, that's
Carter
fine.
going here.
I would have gone Terry, but Carter from Default Destination is going to be at 12.
These are all so good, dude. I don't.
This is hard.
Yeah, that's why I was making the list just so I didn't have to have this predicament. Like making the the rankings on the fly is very hard when all of them are pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones like I'm actually surprised they didn't sort of do like a full scale movie parody of Bold Destination, like having that as the kind of main through line for the movie.
Like they do repeat the bus or car hitting a person scene a lot in this game.
Oh well, yeah, but then again, that's one of those things that happens a lot in movies. Anyway, like whether or not that it's specifically parodying those movies, it's hard to tell. But Richie, what do you have for 11?
Hang on. I'll just vocalize it out. Frankie's death and
Chad, what do you have for 11?
I'll actually go Isaac's death from 5.
I'm actually just sticking with Terry's death. And Eric.
It's a Mexican stand-up. I had Hunt for Final Destination 4 just to have the Final Destination at the very bottom where it belongs.
I'll change to Hunt. I'm fine with that. Actually, that's okay. So you don't have to go to the chat.
Well, I mean, there's no one in the chat. I was going to actually bring
right.
up the real. Chad, what do you have for 10?
I'll stick with Isaac for now.
I'm sticking with Terry. Eric.
I also say Isaac from 5.
And Richie.
I was going to stick with Frankie, but Isaac's fine.
Like I have all the assholes line up in a way. That sounded wrong. Like, how the dicks. How all the notable pricks at the very bottom, just to have kind of like that.
Sometimes it's fun seeing bad guys get the comeuppance at the end, though.
Yeah.
but I'm sticking with Terry. Eric, what do you have for 9?
Next up, I go Frankie from Final Destination 3.
Richie.
I was hoping you'd have Frankie, given your logic. So Frankie.
Yeah.
Chad.
I'll go with Brian's death from 2. But I'm fine with Frankie.
Is anyone getting a tapping noise?
That's
I
me
hear it.
typing out the banners.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Probably.
It's really loud.
It's like dig, 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 dig.
Yeah, I'm not trying for it to be loud, but it is what it is.
It's all right.
Eric, what do you have for 8?
Next up, I do have Brian the Grill Boy from Final Destination 2.
Oh, wow, same page.
And
Richie.
I'm fine with Brian being number 2 next year.
Chad.
Yeah, Brian.
Sticking with Terry.
Oh.
Alright, Richie, what do you have for 7?
I'm going to go with Aaron.
Chad, what do you have for 7?
I can totally see Aaron, but I'm going to go Tim.
Sticking with Terry. Eric.
I'll keep you the Terry bus.
Okay.
Just outside the top 6 is the perfect place for Terry.
Fair.
Chad, what do you have for 6?
Yeah, I'll wait. It was between Aaron and Tim was what I was thinking. I'll switch to Aaron. I think that's fine, actually.
I'm going for Billy's death. Eric.
I also go for Arian.
And Richie.
Yeah, I'm going to get Aaron.
After this, we shouldn't struggle with character names in Why We Love Horror, I guess, for the Final Destination franchise at least.
Yeah.
But I'm sticking with Billy's death. Eric, what do you have for 5?
I'll give you Tim.
Richie.
I would have gone Billy here.
And Chad.
I think both are actually kind of fine 5s. So I'll say Tim and have a go to the wheel.
Tim. And Billy. Wheel is spinning. It's not gonna be. Billy.
Fair.
I decided to put multiple versions of the name on the wheel just so there's an even number of spots, so it's not just two halves.
Yeah.
Richie, what do you have for 4?
I'll go Tim here.
Chad,
Tim.
and I'm also going to go Tim here, and Eric.
Yeah, clean sweep.
This is a great top 3. I'm trying to figure this out. I know what my number 1 is.
Right. Just to recap who we've got left, we've got Candice, Ashley and Ashlyn, and Evan. Chad, what do you have at 3?
Oh, you're starting with me, huh? I'm between the two. I'll go Evan for 3, I guess.
I'm going to go Evan for 3 as well. Eric.
I also had Evan.
Okay, cool.
And Richie.
It makes it easy for me, so I said Evan.
And with that, instead of going for number 2, we're going straight to number 1.
Oh.
I'm very happy with the top 6. Maybe even top 10. I'm very happy.
I mean, this is one of those ones I think in many different ways, I think all the deaths are memorable. So there's really not a lot of bad deaths, so to speak. But my number 1 is Candice. Eric.
My number 1 is also Candice.
Richie.
I was going to Ashley and Ashton.
And Chad.
My number 1 is also Candace.
That's fair enough. That's fine, really.
But it's the best top 2 possible, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a great list. This sounds like someone's vigorously chopping vegetables.
Yeah.
Like Malcolm's cooking while he's typing.
He's the person that often does dishes while doing these sometimes.
That's true. That's true.
You auditioning for Iron Chef or something?
Shit, I need to go do some dishes.
No, it's just an old laptop and the keys just are sticky sometimes. But with that, our top 12 Final Destination deaths. At number 12, we've got Carter's death from the Final Destination. At number 11, we've got Hunt's death also from the Final Destination. At 10, we got Isaac's death. At 9, we got Frankie's death. At 8, we got Brian's death. At 7, we've got Terry's death. At 6, we got Aaron. At 5, we got Billy. At 4, we got Tim. At 3, we had Evan's death. At 2, we got Ashley and Ashlyn. And number 1, we got Candace. It was a fun. It was actually a fun list to do. Fun to have a chance to revisit the Foldy Station movies. But with that, next week's topic, it was a very tight on the polls for a bit because there was one point it was like a 4-way tie between 4 of the options, but in the end, the franchise ranking the Star Trek franchise came out on top. So they'll be next week. But Eric, we can view for new online.
You will not find me on the Star Trek one because I haven't seen any of those movies. But this one was a lot of fun. You might need to be more specific on the Facebook poll when you reveal the top 12 because a lot of people don't handle their Final Destination character names very well. You have to look them up. But you can find me. I'm usually a long time, first time every Thursday with like I'm not one of the hosts, but I'm regularly there. You can check out Lights Out. I'm helping Tato there. CWT is back. Check it out on Friday at 8, I'm pretty sure. Check out White Love Horror Multiplex, Movie Hero Network. We are there tomorrow, I guess. Sure, I'm forgetting something, but where you find these guys, I'm also there most of the time.
Richie, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on at Why We Love Horror, where I am actually gonna get one of my teammates. This guy, I can't get. Yeah, I can't point properly. This guy. So it should be fun soon. And also, I pop on JPO's channels here and there as well, doing trivia. I haven't been on a long time, first time yet. That's why I need to I need to fill in my blind spot. So might do that so I can get talk about on that show. Maybe next week. Clothing Marks. Not sure if we're gonna have a show this week, just because Austin's sort of house situation as well. So yeah, we can afford to have a week off. That's fine. But like when we get back into the swing of things, I think on Full Beeler Movies, me and Austin will be. I think we're going to talk. Like we had spun Grease, but I think we are going to postpone that for a while because every time we go and do the Wheel movie, someone prominent in Hollywood dies. So I want to do the Wheel, but people just don't want to survive not long enough for us to keep doing the Wheel. So in honor of Maggie Smith, I believe we're going to be doing Hook. So I will when we get around to it, we will we'll probably reach out to. I'm guessing Ross, if you're watching this, we'll reach out to you. We'll reach out to you, and then probably the next time we'll probably be doing in honor of Chris Christopherson again, R.A.P. I'm going to talk about Blade. I think we're thinking of Blade, either a Blade or a Star Is Born. Watch your space. So yeah. Other than that, I'm also on the other trivia spaces, so you can find me there. But yeah, we're good.
Chad, we can people find you online.
If you like the Final Destination talk, head over to Why We Love Horror Trivia and all the stuff that John does over there. But specifically, that match was a Final Destination exhibition. I may or may not have done pretty well in that one. And it's also just really fun to watch trivia, if you love talking about the deaths and stuff. But also other horror stuff. I help run a channel with my buddy Hunter, my wife Carrie, called Welcome to Primetime, and we do a lot of really fun stuff over there. We're currently doing our 61 days of primetime, so we're watching for all of September and October just a bunch of different movies throughout the decades. We also have a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer talk over there, a lot of reviews and a whole other bracket series that we're doing, trying to figure out what's the greatest horror movie of all time. So we have a lot of really great talk over there. And then for my non-horror stuff, head over to Cinema Chad, which is my channel where I mostly rank stuff. That's mostly what's on there right now, just ranking other things. If you're watching this, this far, chances are you love ranking. go over there, check out You Ranking With Me is the show that I do with people, and it's a lot of fun. We rank a bunch of stuff as well. And then check out the Dill Pickle Movie Network, where I do a show called Picture This. Malcolm has been on there a couple times, and it's been a lot of fun, having guests and stuff. But basically, what we're trying to do is just watch every single film that's been nominated for Best Picture, and it's been a blast so far. We're almost halfway done with all of them, which is insane. It's been going on for like 3 years and stuff. So, but yeah, this is a lot of fun. I love Rankum. I love ranking stuff. So, as always, thank you very much. It was fun.
You can find me every week on Take People Darkness hosting Rankum. Next week we'll be doing Star Trek franchise, which should be fun for me because it means I'm going to have to do a lot of work this week because I haven't seen a lot of them, so a lot of them I'll be watching for the first time. You can also find me on my personal channel, Midwest Media. I host a show called Swerve from the Past. Next episode we're doing is talking about the pay-per-view WCW Uncensored 95.
Oh, good.
I'm taking a bit of a week off here. It'll either be back next week or the week after. I haven't quite decided yet. But you can also find me popping up here and there, depending on on circumstances. I know. I know Jordan said he's going to sort of try and rush home early from there. There might be. I might be on the first random horror tournament on the Movie Hero Network this week, but depending on things, if it may or may not happen this week, a lot of things may be being pushed around. Like, still going to do the final part of the 2000 letter series as well. So, Movie Hero Network may be pushing things around in that as well. So who knows what's sort of coming up next. But with that being said, I generally pop up whenever there's sort of trivia, rankings, brackets. I'm probably going to be there as well. So, but from all of us here, and we'll see you next time, and have fun watching movies.
Is that him?
I think. Why did they make him up like Michael Jackson?
Yeah, that's him. Whatever it was that made him Todd is definitely gone.
Shh. Please. You'll wake the dead.
Why does hand do that?
Chemicals in the vascular flesh create cadaveric spasms.
Look, I'm his friend, and
I know who you are.
What are all those tiny marks?
Cuticle lacerations from pulling at the wire.
Pulling at the wire. If he was pulling at the wire, he wasn't trying to kill himself. It was an accident.
In death, there are no accidents, no coincidences, no mishaps, and no escapes. What you have to realize is that we're all just a mouse that a cat has by the tail. Every single move we make, from the mundane to the monumental, the red light that we stop at or run, the people we